Walk down any busy street in the modern world and you'll see it. Men moving like ghosts, eyes glazed over, shoulders slouched, faces illuminated by screens they can't look away from. Their minds are elsewhere, scattered, consumed. They're not present in their bodies, they're trapped inside a loop of stimulation, release, and numbness. This isn't freedom, this is slavery, dressed in Wi-Fi signals, LED lights, and instant gratification. The chains aren't visible, but they're wrapped tightly around their nervous systems. The plantation has changed form. It's no longer cotton fields and overseers. It's the digital landscape, the pleasure economy, and the silent draining of masculine life force. And the cruel genius of it all is that most men don't even know they're slaves. They confuse comfort with liberation, mistaking dopamine hits for self-expression. But if you look closely, you'll notice the symptoms. Weak posture, restless scrolling, lack of mission, and a deep, unspoken dissatisfaction. These are not the marks of free men. These are the signs of men who've been conquered without a single shot fired. What they've done is take the most potent force inside the masculine body, sexual energy, and turn it into a leash. David Deida often spoke about how a man's deepest essence is mission-driven, that at the core of masculine energy is a need to penetrate life with purpose, not merely be swayed by surface pleasures. Yet, in this age, that essence is hijacked before it can mature. From adolescence, men are trained not to master their energy, but to discharge it recklessly. Porn becomes the silent mentor. Lust becomes the curriculum. Instant release becomes the ritual. Every orgasm without intention is a subtle act of self-sabotage, a quiet draining of the fire meant to forge empires. Imagine a powerful river diverted into hundreds of small leaking streams. It no longer powers cities. It evaporates into nothing. That's what happens to the modern man's sexual energy. It's scattered, wasted, harvested by industries that understand male biology better than the men themselves do. In the alchemy of lust, you'll be taken deep into the ancient and forgotten discipline of sexual transmutation, a principle once reserved for monks, warriors, kings, and creators. Porn companies, dating apps, pharmaceutical giants, they all thrive on a distracted, drained male population. The more often you release without purpose, the more docile, restless, and controllable you become. It's not about pleasure anymore. It's about control. Understand this. Ejaculation isn't just a physical act. It's an energetic transaction. When you release compulsively, you're not just spilling seed. You're handing over spiritual currency. That post-release crash, that sudden lack of clarity, that lethargy that creeps in afterward. It's not random. It's the body's way of telling you that something powerful just left you. In ancient traditions, this energy was revered, cultivated, and transmuted. Warriors would conserve it before battle. Monks would sublimate it into spiritual insight. Inventors and leaders would harness it as creative fuel. But today, that same energy is exploited like oil. Companies study the male arousal cycle to optimize ads, algorithms, and interfaces that keep men in a state of semi-arousal, but never fulfillment. They're not selling pleasure, they're renting out your attention. Every late-night scroll, every empty release, every lust-driven impulse is a small deposit into someone else's empire. And the modern man, unaware of this exchange, walks away thinking he made a choice, when in reality, he was led by the nose like livestock. Deida once said that a man who lives from his shallow desires remains forever distracted from his deep mission. This is the essence of the trap. The more frequently a man indulges without awareness, the more his mind becomes fragmented. His purpose blurs, his vision weakens, his will softens. He becomes reactive instead of intentional, lustful instead of potent, stimulated but spiritually malnourished. And this is exactly what the system wants. A man ruled by his urges can be sold anything: sex, comfort, distraction, identity. He doesn't build, he consumes. He doesn't conquer, he conforms. His rebellion has been replaced by release. His power has been pacified by pleasure. And he calls this freedom. But it's not freedom. It's the most sophisticated form of enslavement humanity has ever engineered. Enslavement through voluntary leakage. Picture a young man at 2 a.m., alone in his room, blue light washing over his face. He scrolls, finds a video, releases, and rolls over, empty. It seems like nothing, a harmless habit. But zoom out, multiply that by years, by millions of men. Imagine the collective masculine energy, the raw drive, the spiritual fire being siphoned away nightly, not by force, but by habit. Empires are not falling because of external enemies. They're collapsing because their men are leaking their potential into the void. Their seed no longer fertilizes visions, families, or legacies. It fertilizes the servers of billion-dollar tech companies. You're not lazy, you're hijacked. Every scroll designed to keep you docile, addicted, and distracted. Dopamine warfare, reclaiming the mind. This isn't just about quitting porn or deleting apps. This is about taking back command of your nervous system, your focus, your fire. The moment a man decides to retain, truly retain, not out of fear, but out of power, something primal stirs inside him. It's subtle at first, a sharper awareness in the morning, a faint but growing intensity behind the eyes, a restlessness that isn't aimless anymore. It's concentrated. What was once leaking out is now circulating within. Energy that used to evaporate into blue-lit screens and guilty sighs now builds like pressure behind a dam. And this is where most men falter. They confuse this pressure with discomfort, but the wise understand that pressure is potential, that tension is the forge. Retention is the quiet rebellion against everything this system trained you to be, distracted, drained, and domesticated. When you hold, you're no longer feeding the machine, you're redirecting the flow. David Deida speaks of sexual energy not as something to repress, but as a sacred force to channel. He describes the mature masculine as one who can stand in the storm of his own desire without flinching, who can feel the pull of lust and still choose purpose over impulse. This is the battlefield. The war is not out there. It's in the split second between feeling the urge and deciding what to do with it. Retention sharpens that battlefield into a clear line. You either conquer the moment, or the moment conquers you. And when you conquer it, the energy doesn't die. It transforms. It becomes focus. It becomes clarity. It becomes a low, burning fire in the gut that starts to change how you move through the world. You stand taller. You speak slower. Your eyes don't dart around. They pierce. You stop chasing. You start attracting. This is why retention scares weak men and threatens weak systems. Because a man who has mastered himself cannot be manipulated by cheap pleasure. In the beginning, this path feels like withdrawal. Not just from physical release, but from mental habits formed over years. The mind will try to trick you. It will whisper, just once. It will rationalize, you deserve it. It will seduce you with imaginary scenarios and nostalgic cravings. But each time you say no, you reclaim territory. You break one more chain. You're not just holding seed, you're holding your ground. This is rebellion at the most intimate level, rebellion against your own lower nature. And as the weeks stretch into months, something remarkable happens. Your attention, once scattered, begins to consolidate. Your presence deepens. You stop floating from impulse to impulse, and you begin to move with gravity. What if everything you chase is what's weakening you? What if pleasure isn't reward, but a trap? And what if desire itself was the enemy all along? Death of desire, the Stoic's path to cold clarity. This is not a guide. This is not self-help. This is war. Kill the need. Master the mind. Retention gives back the one thing modernity has stolen from men: focus. Focus is the new superpower. In a world built on distraction, the man who can focus is dangerous. Companies spend billions competing for fragments of your attention. But when you retain, you stop giving it away cheaply. Your mind becomes like a blade, cutting through noise and temptation. Deida would say that this focus isn't just mental, it's spiritual. A retained man isn't just looking at the world, he's penetrating it with presence. He listens deeper, he notices subtleties. He walks with a quiet intensity that unsettles the complacent and inspires the disciplined. People feel it before they understand it. That's why rooms fall silent when a truly retained man enters. Not because he's loud, but because his energy is collected, not dispersed. His silence carries more weight than another man's shouting. And make no mistake, retention isn't some mystical superstition. It's strategic power. When you stop being ruled by urges, you stop being predictable. Predictable men are easy to market to, easy to manipulate, easy to control. But the retained man moves differently. He's not chasing trends. He's building dynasties. He's not addicted to validation. He's busy crafting legacy. Every drop of energy he keeps is redirected into something higher: training, creating, conquering, leading. He's playing a long game in a world addicted to quick hits. That's why men who retain often find themselves rising silently in power, while their peers burn themselves out chasing the next fix. Retention separates builders from beggars. Think of history's conquerors, inventors, ascetics. Many of them understood this principle instinctively. They conserved their essence before great campaigns, inventions, or spiritual breakthroughs. They knew that sexual energy, when disciplined, sharpens vision and multiplies will. Modern science tries to reduce everything to hormones and chemicals, but even they can't ignore the effects of abstention on testosterone, focus, and drive. But beyond the biology lies something deeper: command. A man who commands his urges commands his destiny. And this is why retention is rebellion. It dismantles the invisible system designed to keep you weak. You become unmarketable. You become unreadable. You become untamed. Thus remember, we are indeceptor. Becoming indeceptor is the code they never wanted you to learn. A psychological war map for men, forbidden teachings fused with modern strategy for influence, dominance, and self-mastery. If you want peace, prepare for war.